התקרבתי עם הילדה על הכתפיים אל החיילים, והנאצי, הפולסקה דויטשה הארור, וניסיתי להסביר להם שאני הולך עם אחותי החולה שנפצעה ולא מסוגלת ללכת, ואני צריך להביא אותה לאיזה מקום על מנת שיטפלו בה. ביקשתי מהם שישחררו אותי מהעבודה. הפולסקה דויטשה, הנאצי, הארור, העמלק, התת-אנושי, התנפל עליי וצרח. תכף היא תקבל טיפול.
So my dad was my role model. I knew that my father is a Holocaust survivor. He never talked about the Holocaust until I was pretty old. Looking back, it was hard for him to express happy emotions. He was just focused on bringing food to the family. He always used to tell us, you have to finish the food in the plate. There are some other people that they don't have the luxury that you have. They don't have food on the table. And later on, I understood that was one of the things that, he was operating out of being starving for such long periods of time during the Holocaust.
My relationship with him was very special. We had a special bond. I am the first and one of the only grandchildren to join the army, which brought us a lot closer. He will always hold a special place in my heart.
My stepdad and my mom got married when I was around 8 years old, and I grew really close with Avraham, and we formed an instant bond.
He had very high motivation, and the motivation was to show the Germans that he's here now, and he's created a great family, and by every day being healthy and having a family, he's winning over the Germans.
He lived to be 94 years old, and he kept saying all the time, it's one of the signs, one of the wins over the Nazis. It's like to show the Nazis that he managed to survive, and he managed to have a family, and we will be here forever. But he really, really understood that it's important for Jewish people to tell their stories, just like the Agadah in Seder Pesach. It says in the Agadah, "Bechol dor vador amdu alenu lechalotenu," meaning in every generation, someone tried to extinguish the Jewish people, and we should always tell it, all this experiencing, to our kids, to make sure that they tell it to their kids. That was part of his mission, and the name of the book was Avari Chai Betochi, meaning my past live within me. Without the punctuation in Hebrew, you can call it Avari, my past, or you can pronounce it Ivri. Ivri, it's the ancient word for Jewish person. It is a very unique name, that it's Ivri and Avari. His father, my grandfather, his name was Eliezer, and his mom, her name was Chaya Beila. And he had an older brother, Zalman, that actually escaped to Ukraine and parts that today it's like part of Russia. And since then my father never saw him. And then he had a little sister, her name was Hannah. Hannah stayed with her mom to take care of her mom, and later on he understood that both of them were taken to the death camp. His father, my grandfather, actually died from starvation in the ghetto because he insisted to eat only kosher food. He used to work in the ghetto and Ghetto Lodge, and one day the German came and were looking for all the young people that were capable of working to take them, but I know that he decided to escape, and then he came back to the ghetto later on to go back to his family. At some point they did come and find him and took him to the labor camp, and he was over there. It was not too far from Lodge. This cycle happened a few times, but 2 times the Germans did find him and took him to labor camp.
תפס את הילדה מגבי, ובפראות, לפני שהבנתי מה קרה, עם רצח בעיניים, מעוקמות מתאוות הרצח והסדיזם, זרק אותה בכל כוחו, כמו חבילה, הרחק ממני, מעל ערימת אדמה שנשארה כנראה מבור שחוסה קודם. שמעתי בכי איום של הילדה. היא נפלה על הערימה והתגלגלה למטה. כנראה הראש שלה נתקל במשהו קשה בנפילה. He found a girl, 3 years old or 4 years old, just crying and running and terrified, in shock. So he wanted to help her, and for weeks he took care of her. He found food for her and he found shelter for them until the incident that the Germans murdered her.
And he asked her, what's her name? She didn't respond. So my father gave her sort of a nickname because he missed his sister, and he called her Little Hanale.
And then they got stopped by Nazis, and the baby was crying, Hannah was crying, and he tried to protect her and to shield her, but the soldiers took the baby from his arms and bashed her against a rock so she would stop crying.
The Nazis took away the little girl from him and basically just, hit her really hard, took the girl and just threw her on a rock, on a big rock next to him, and pretty much killed her. And that's one of the stories that I remember that my father was telling me that really, really traumatized him.
רצתי אליה, הספקתי לראות דם זורם מראשה הקטן והתגלגלה למטה. היה נראה לי שהיא מסתכלת אליי בעיניים, בעיניים מאשימות. העיניים האלה כמו אומרות לי, אני שמחתי עליך, שאתה אחי הגדול, תגן עליי, ואתה לא באת להציל אותי מהאכזרים האלה. מאז העיניים הגדולות האלה והעצובות האלה רודפות אותי כל השנים.
It's life or death, and it's pretty graphic and it's really intense, but like he made it through it and he did whatever he had to do. You have to remember that it's your life at the end of the day too, and no matter about the people around you, which is also a very heavy factor, but you just have to keep on going and do what it takes to survive, and that's what he truly did.
He decided to join a young Jewish group that they were helping other Jewish towards the end of the war to go to Israel. There were some big ships that were taking Jews to Israel, but it was very difficult to get to those ships. You had to cross a couple borders. So he was working for a long time, a couple years he was working, had different missions. He was working on the border of Italy, he was working on the border of Austria, and then eventually in 1945 he made Aliyah himself to Israel. He was on a boat too, and he had very few items that remained from the family. But at one point, there was a fear that they will be discovered, and he pretty much had to throw to the ocean everything that if someone will see that he has them, that they will understand that he is Jewish. He did manage to hide few pictures that I actually have them with me today. He was very, very independent. He lived in his own house. He cooked for himself. He cleaned for himself. He walked every day for an hour and was sharp-minded up to the last minute. But physically, when he turned 94, a little after, all of a sudden he got lymphoma. That really developed very, very quickly. One day I'm sitting in my house in Los Angeles and he's calling and he's telling me, I need you to come to Israel. It was around December. And I told him I'm planning to come in June, in a few months. He said, no, I need you to come as soon as possible. I'm not feeling well and I don't know how long I still have to live. It's the first time I heard my father so weak the day after. I pretty much went on the plane, and since then I stayed with him for the last 3.5 months until he passed away.
Me and my dad went to the hospital in his last few weeks, and we were taking turns watching over him. And I had one night where it was my shift, and it was the first time that I felt like I could try and actually read the book. And so every night I would open the book and try and read it a little bit. And one night he woke up and he took the book. He wrote a dedication to me. And today that dedication is also tattooed on my arm. It's a dedication that he wrote to me. And it says, a memory that will last until the end of generations. I had school to go back to. And I went to Saba and I said, Saba, I have to go back to school, but if you tell me to stay, I'll stay. And he looked at me and he said, go back to school. I'll see you in a few months. I'll still be here. I got on the plane, and right when I landed, I got the call that he was in his last few hours. And I tried to turn around. I tried to catch a flight back, but I would have missed it. I would have missed the funeral. So I wasn't there in his very last minutes, but I was almost there.
One day I just had a feeling in my gut that something's not going to play out well and maybe I should go see him. So I called my mom and she said that he's okay, everything's okay for now. There's a couple of weeks, if not a month, but you don't need to come back from base now. As soon as we finished speaking on the phone, I immediately got on a bus. I get to his place at almost like 11:30 p.m. and I'm on my uniform. And I walk on the door and I see him, and right away he just started glowing. He saluted me and he grabbed my hand. He squeezed it so tight, and he tried maybe like 3 times to say something that was really important to him, but he couldn't say it because he was just so exhausted and he didn't have enough power.
It was hard for me because I felt like that's what I went for, to be there for him in his last few moments. But the other part of me decided that it was actually better. I was there when he remembered me being there, and I was there before he was bedridden. My last memories of him are still very strong.
And that night he passed away at like maybe 3 a.m. and it was very emotional. The whole family was there and we were all there together. It was a very emotional time to see a person that you love so much take his last breath.
The reason that we're doing this, and what's most important, is for his memory to live on, and for the Holocaust memory to live on, and for people to never forget what hate can do to people. I think it's important to remember, it doesn't matter who where your family comes from or what they've been through, just make sure to pass it on and to always be proud. And always be proud of who we are and what our ancestors went through. The Holocaust is the ultimate battle. And if they got through that, then we can get through anything.